Confluence. As is customary, we will start the program with Turiyam Meditation by Professor N. Vidhiyadharan. Professor Vidhiyadharan is an engineer currently heading the software department in a reputed private company in Navi Mumbai. He took initiation from Trustee Sky Trust in the year 1993 and became a Sky Master in 1997. He joined the Mumbai Sky Trust as Master in Charge in 2000 and became a professor trainee in the year 2018. I invite Professor Vidhiyadharan to conduct the Turiyam meditation now. வாழ்க வளமுடன். Mr. Vidhiyadharan, you can unmute yourself.
வாழ்க வளமுடன். Be
Yes,
blessed by the divine. வாழ்க வளமுடன். Be blessed by the divine. Now we are going to perform Turiyam meditation. The atmosphere around us is being purified by the divine power. The atmosphere around us is being purified by the divine power. The atmosphere around us is being purified by the divine power. The divine power descends upon us and we are being purified and blessed. The divine power descends upon us and we are being purified and blessed. The divine power descends upon us and we are being purified and blessed. The divine power may protect us, guide us, and lead us in all our activities, day and night, in all places, at all times. Salutations to Mother. Salutations to Father. Salutations to Guru. We will now start meditation at Agna Chakra. Fix your life force at Agna Chakra between the two eyebrows. Turiyam. Be blessed by the divine. Now we are going to conclude the meditation. Slowly spread the energy throughout the whole body. In this peaceful state, we are going to say auto suggestions and blessings. By the grace of divine power, we may enjoy good health, long life, enough wealth, wisdom, and peace. By the grace of divine power, we may enjoy good health, long life, enough wealth, wisdom, and peace. By the grace of divine power, we may enjoy good health, long life, enough wealth, wisdom, and peace. Bless your life partner. If you are not married, bless your parents. Bless your children one by one. Bless your brothers and sisters. Bless your close relatives and friends. Bless your seniors, colleagues, subordinates, and others connected with your duties. Bless your enemies or miscreants, if any, so that they may also change and lead a good life. Let us bless Vethathiri, founded by Vethathiri Maharishi. Be blessed by the divine. Temple of Consciousness at Aliyar. Be blessed by the divine. Let us all bless the Department of Research and Development at Aliyar and its wonderful efforts in furthering the research on Swamiji's works and findings. Be blessed by the divine. All the sky trusts across the world, be blessed by the divine. All the members who are attending this event and their families be blessed by the divine. Four moral principles. I, in my lifetime, will not give pain to others, physically or mentally. To the extent possible, I will remove the pain of others. I, in my lifetime, will not give pain to others, physically or mentally. To the extent possible, I will remove the pain of others. I, in my lifetime, will not give pain to others, physically or mentally. To the extent possible, I will remove the pain of others. God blessing. Rain may pour on all parts of the world timely and sufficiently. Food grains may grow abundantly to the satisfaction of all living beings. Leaders of all the nations may grow spiritually and do good service to the humanity. May the whole world enjoy prosperity, happiness, and peace. May the whole world enjoy prosperity, happiness, and peace. May the whole world enjoy prosperity, happiness, and peace. May peace prevail within us. May peace prevail around us. May peace prevail around the world. Peace, peace, peace. Thanks for giving the opportunity. வாழ்க வளமுடன்.
Thank you, Professor Vidhiyadharan. Be blessed by the divine. Consciousness 360-degree Conclave is a weekly event to discuss, debate, and carry forward Swamiji Vethathiri Maharishi's excellent discoveries, concepts, and philosophies relating to consciousness and gravity. Every week, we discuss in depth on different aspects or subjects of Swamiji's findings on consciousness with a scientific and research objective. In this journey, the Research and Development Wing of the World Community Service Center, under the guidance and supervision of Dr. M.V. Rabindranath, Director-R&D, and with the blessings and guidance of our President, Sri S.K.M. Mayanandan Ayya, has already held 15 events so far involving various senior and prominent disciples of Vethathiri Maharishi, as well as other experts in this field from scientific, medical, and spiritual fraternities. The topic for today's event is order of function and consciousness. To inaugurate today's session and welcome the keynote and concluding speakers to the event, I now invite Professor Hemalatha C., Managing Trustee of Mumbai Chembur Sky Trust, to do the honors. Professor Hemalatha received her initiation to the sky system from Vethathiri Maharishi in 1981 in Delhi. She has been instrumental in setting up the Sky Trust in Mumbai in the year 2000 with the blessings of Maharishi. Mumbai Chembur Sky Trust is a duly registered trust. The Mumbai Trust and its sub-centers have given initiation to more than 5,000 individuals in Maharashtra and Goa, half of them being in Hindi, Marathi, and Gujarati. She became a Sky professor in 2008. Apart from teaching Sky Yoga, she has given personal counseling to many aggrieved persons, bringing about a positive change in their lives. I now request Professor Hemalatha to deliver the welcome address. Over to Professor Hemalatha. வாழ்க வளமுடன்.
Thank you, sir. வாழ்க வையகம், வாழ்க வையகம், வாழ்க வளமுடன். Salutations to the divinity and salutations to our Guru, Vethathiri Maharishi. I take this opportunity to thank Dr. M.B. Rabindranath, Director, Research and Development, WCSC, for giving me and Mumbai Chembur Sky Trust an opportunity to be a part of Consciousness 360 Degrees event. I extend a warm welcome to the two eminent speakers, Assistant Professor Kannan Kathiresan from Bahrain and Sakshi Sahoo from Delhi. The topic for today is Consciousness 360 Degrees, Order or Function. The four innate properties of gravity or nature or absolute space are plenum, force, consciousness, and time. They are indivisible and inseparable from gravity and from one another. Only by these four properties, the gravity transforms into all principles and phenomena of the universe. Among these four, consciousness is very important and valuable as it manifests as the order of function in everything, everywhere. To know about nature, it is essential to understand the value and greatness of consciousness in all the functions of the universe. We should not assume that the force of gravity is purely mechanical. It is a divine force that penetratively functions in everything, everywhere, and in all living beings, including man, as all functions of mind, example, feelings, awareness, etc. Although the absolute space is considered to be nothingness by the mind, the inherent power of the absolute space is consciousness. It is omnipotent since everything has emerged from it. It is omnipresent as there is no place where there is no absolute space. It is omniscient as it functions as all the penetrative consciousness in all inanimate things as the order of function, as the order of motion with three principles, pattern, precision, and regularity. In living beings, act perceptual ability as cognition, experience, and discrimination. This is the second stage of consciousness which develops and functions in all living beings. In addition to these two stages, the consciousness in man is able to realize its own function and existence, that is the sixth sense. The faculty to realize the three invisible qualities of self, that is mind, soul, life force, and unified force. Only by this faculty of conscientious consciousness, all functions in the universe are going on perfectly and precisely. By this quality of awareness in all movements and actions, consciousness protects, maintains, and integrates all results throughout the universe. As the force of gravity functions, the consciousness is its inseparable shadow. The whole universe is the product of gravity, and all the functions are determined by consciousness. At this juncture, I would like to share a bit about my divine association with Swamiji Yogiraj Vethathiri Maharishi. In the year 1981, I was initiated by Swamiji along with other family members. I can call it my second birth. We were then at Delhi. Before that, we used to follow all rituals sincerely, sing devotional songs devotedly, but always had no clarity about rituals, concept of God, about his form, about cause and effect, connection between human beings and God, and so many doubts, but could not get clear answer for these. When I tried to read spiritual books or listen to philosophical discourses, many terms about God was going bouncers as they were using high language and were very complex. But when we met Swamiji and attended the courses, he explained about all the concepts very clearly in a simple language with scientific explanations. We were really thrilled to understand the greatest philosophy and truth in such a simple way. The effect of this experience and understanding were many. To quote a few, I was an introvert earlier, but when the clarity about various concepts came, I could mingle with anyone and could deal with all people with equanimity. The concept of limit and method, detached attachment, etc., helped a lot in moderating materialistic pursuits also. Ultimately, realizing the presence of consciousness in everything and living with this knowledge helps us to understand ourselves, the others, and nature, and also live a full life, aware of the body and the soul, the consequences of each of our actions, and making the necessary corrections in mutual cooperation with others for the benefit of the whole society. With these few words, I now request Assistant Professor Chandrasekharan to introduce the main speaker for the event, Assistant Professor Kannan Kathiresan. Thank you all. Vaalka valamudan. Be blessed by the divine.
Thank you, Professor Hemalatha, for your wonderful introduction to the event and for sharing your experience with Sky System for the benefit of others. I will now introduce our main speaker for this event, Assistant Professor Kannan Kathiresan from Bahrain. Kannan Kathiresan sir is a mechanical engineer by profession, working in metal industry for a total of 20 years and presently working as reliability engineer in Bahrain for past 10 years. He was introduced to this journey of consciousness in the year 2015. As they say, when fraction demands, totality supplies, and so Kannan sir was in thirst of what is life and who am I. The Almighty directed him to Professor Shekhar Swaminath in Bahrain, and he learned Sky System through him. Kannan sir is presently an assistant professor trainee, is originally from Tuticorin, and has a very supportive wife, Uma, who is also an alumni in Sky and is active in Sky Bahrain. They have two loving daughters, Srinidhi and Harini. Kannan sir's company, Reliability Engineering, is into maintenance support function, maintaining the reliability of equipment using special tools and techniques, a very important function. I now request Kannan sir to deliver his speech. Be blessed by the divine bliss. Kannan sir, you can unmute and start your speech.
Thank you, Assistant Professor Chandrasekharan sir, for your wonderful words. Be blessed by the divine power. Be blessed by the divine power. Be blessed by the divine power. May the whole world enjoy prosperity, happiness, and peace. Guru Varga, Guruve Tunai. Respected WCSE President, Padma Shri SKM Maharishi sir, respected Director-R&D Sky Aliyar, senior Sky professors, visionary deep thinkers, researchers, Sky masters, and Sky members of various parts of the world. I wish you all a great good evening. Maybe in some part of the world, it is good morning. First of all, I would like to express my sincere thanks to Dr. Rabindranath sir and his team to set up this wonderful platform where we all have the opportunity to hear from the experience of senior professors, field specialists, masters, and other Sky practitioners who are all in the journey of consciousness. Also, I would like to express my gratitude to my beloved master, Professor Shekhar Swaminath sir, Bahrain, and our Bahrain Sky team who are behind the development of the speech, always as supporting and guiding. Consciousness 360, as our Divine Father, Sri Vethathiri Maharishi says that consciousness is in everything and everywhere. The title for this session, this program, this platform, Consciousness 360, reveals the same. It is a combined approach, focus where we all can learn by sharing, understand by standing under, cognize by discussing, all are but the manifestation of consciousness within us that is guiding us. Hearing, understanding, realizing, experimenting, and experiencing. Which is doing all these things? Nothing but the same consciousness within us. As far as today's subject is concerned, whether it is consciousness and order of function, or consciousness as order of function. Let us all join together through this presentation to find the solution. Since time immemorial, the search for the ultimate truth and the impulse towards all perfection has been the persistent endeavor of the awakened minds of humanity. In the series of such gifted thinkers, we have our great divine father, Sri Vethathiri Maharishi, whose revelatory and output of his intuitive vision is the subject matter of today's discussion. Absolute space. What is consciousness? To know about it, we need to know about absolute space. Absolute space is the unbounded divine principle, the primordial state of universe. It is also called as nature, gravity, everlasting, singular, almighty. It is all penetrative, thoroughly permeable, highly transparent, imperceptible, dark fluid matter, characterized by the kinematic, quivering, self-compressive, inexhaustible surrounding pressure force, which results in automatic repulsion in its intensification and emerges as the quantized formative dust. From time immemorial, it has been difficult for the human mind to assume the fundamental reality of absolute space because it is imperceptible. So, we have to realize the existence and actuality of Almighty by its functions and effects in the universe. Absolute space is identified as unified force, the source of all forces, with four indivisible innate qualities. Plenum, which is the inexhaustible source of all forces. Force, it is all potential with surrounding self-compressive nature. Consciousness, which is manifest as order of function in everything and everywhere, directing the force of absolute space precisely and properly. Time arises by the self-compressive force, which is giving the pressure on everything at infinitesimal intervals, nothing but the kinematic quivering that create the assumption of time. These four innate properties of absolute space are indivisible, inseparable from one another. As per our great father, Sri Vethathiri Maharishi, only by these four properties, the absolute space transformed into all principles and phenomena of the universe. These four qualities are manifesting their existence and functions in everything at every stage of transformation of the absolute space into universe. Absolute space is highly transparent, all-penetrative, and thoroughly permeable. It is a dark, mighty fluid from which anything and everything manifested as its transformation. Consciousness manifests as order of function in both animate and inanimate. In inanimate, it exhibits as pattern, precision, and regularity. For animate, additionally as cognition, experience, and discrimination. The transformation of absolute space, consciousness as order of function. The whole universe is nothing but the product of absolute space, and all the functions are determined by the consciousness. The absolute space by its own compression becomes quantized, imperceptible dust. Every dust is compressed by the surrounding pressure of the space. All the dusts are spinning. By its spinning action, the dust becomes the mighty universal power, the magnetism. By the association of dust, fundamental particles are formed. By the association of particles, atoms are formed. By the association of atoms, the elements are formed. All the appearances of the universe are association of elements. Absolute space has the possibility and potential to become anything, any quality, any action, and any result. The secrets of absolute space are unknown because its existence, quality, and character are imperceptible. Let us see the experiment. Is space is empty or is full of potential? The power of powerful magnet and a copper plate. Copper plate is non-magnetic. When the magnet slides over the copper plate, it slides as it is slowly as it is passing through the dense liquid. It does not fall freely. What controls it? And when we drop the magnet directly on the copper plate, it slows down and then rests. What builds the cushion in the space? The space is full of energy. Get magnetized by the powerful magnet. And the copper plate, a good conductor, develops the magnetic field that resists the magnet to slow down. The space is not empty. It is filled with universal magnetism. The absolute space is the concentrated stock force with all its adorable divine potentials. Maximally intensified by its own compression, it becomes formative dust. It is spinning magnetized quanta of a space itself. The seamless continuity of the space is illusion, arising because the dust quanta are imperceptible and cannot be differentiated from the space by our senses or any instruments. The water we see is nothing other than the vast collection of molecules, but we perceive it as an unbroken continuum. Our eyes do not detect the space between each molecule. Similarly, air also is a collection of molecules that are imperceptible to our senses, so that we take air to be a single principle. Similarly, formative dust is also not seen. As we detect the presence of molecules and atoms in air and water from the effect they have on the other things, the existence of dust in space can be inferred from the observation that all the heaviest masses, the planets, the galaxies, are easily floating on the space. Magnetism is divine, all-penetrating, omnipresent, in all places and in all things, inorganic and organic. The highly magnetized dust emits from the infinitesimal energy particles their magnetic energy transformed into 5 tanmatras: the pressure, sound, light, taste, smell, and in living being as mind. Consciousness as order of function in plants. Consciousness is present everywhere and in everything manifest as pattern, precision, and regularity. We sow the seed in earth. First it germinates, then it sprouts, and stem appears. With the presence of soil, water, sunlight, and air, the universal magnetism interacts with the biomagnetism of the seeds to germinate. The seed grows root first to stable itself and then produces the stem and the leaves. The germination process happens seamlessly at all times when all the elements, soil, water, air, and sunlight are present. It is divine. It is a consciousness as order of function on the seeds. The seeds goes on produce branches, leaves, fruits, and seeds. All are coming one after the other, as they did in the mother plant. When you consider even this small plant, you can understand that the processes in its growth and the yield are faithfully carried out. The shapes of the leaves and the fruits and their chemical qualities are precisely appearing as in the mother plant. For a seed to germinate, soil, water, sunlight, and air, these 4 elements are needed. If all the elements are available, the consciousness present in it makes it to sprout and grow into plant or a tree similar to its mother plant. If any of the elements were not present, the seed does not grow. but the consciousness present in it transforms to the next manifestation as worm. It makes a hole in the seed and comes out. The worm develops cocoon and then flies away as a small insect. The consciousness manifests as order of function. The consciousness is always dynamic and supported by the absolute space to manifest. Also, we wonder that the water is required for all the plants and trees to grow. Who waters them in the forest? The nature. The universal consciousness evaporates the water from the ocean, takes place as an order of function. The water gets stores in the cloud, get cooled down near the forest and rains. Where it has to rain is also an order of function. The nature, with all its kindness, supports each life on the earth through its consciousness. Our master Sri Vethathiri Maharishi says, as the fraction demands, the totality supplies. The seed germinates to grow, to plant and trees. Who controls it? The consciousness as order of function. The leaves, flowers are same size and color of the parent tree. Who does it? Order of function. The time of flower, the time of bearing fruits, qualities of fruits, all same as their parent tree. The consciousness as order of function. I want to share with you one example in which happened in Bahrain, in our company. The jamun tree. The jamun seed was planted and grown in our company in Bahrain. It gives flower and the fruit at the same time as the jamun tree in India. In February, it starts flowering and bears fruit by June, July. Who guides them? Even after a distance of 3,000 kilometers away from the parent location, different weather, it still exhibits the same quality and the same timing of the parent tree, because consciousness present in it exhibit as order of function. We all have seen the birds' migration. We heard about the migration. Why do they migrate? The birds migrate to move from the areas of low and decreasing resources to the areas of high increasing resources. They travel as far as 12,000 kilometers for two primary reasons. One for food, second for their nesting location. The birds migrate. The flying path is called as flyway, as we all call as subway for the vehicles. There are 10 major flyway all around the world. For centuries, people have kept the cage birds have noticed that the migratory species used to go through a period of restlessness in each spring and fall, repeatedly fluttering towards one side of the cage. How do they navigate themselves for this journey? The secret of their amazing navigational skill aren't fully understood because birds combine several different types of sensors when they navigate. The birds can get compass information from the sun, the stars, and by sensing the Earth's magnetic field. They also get information from the position of setting sun and from the landmarks seen during the day. There is even evidence that sense of smell plays a role. Some birds reduce their weight and prepare themselves for the long flight. Who triggers the birds to migrate? How do they know which directions to fly and what distance to fly? The habitat where the birds live is filled with universal magnetism, and this in constant touch with the biomagnetism of the body of the birds. The impact of the magnetism with the qualities of the place environment is felt by the genetic center of the birds through their biomagnetic field. The genetic center brings the suitable changes in the physical and psychological qualities of the birds, enabling it to adapt itself to the surroundings and need and prepare for the great journey of migration. The order of function in the universal magnetism, responsible for the climatic change, the order of function in the Earth magnetic field, and the biomagnetism in the birds together play this orchestrated journey, the migration. All happens seamlessly by the consciousness present in them as order of function. the perfection in birds as order of function, unfailing divine laws. The eggs hatch in 21 days. We all know that. It is not less, not more. Nature provides all sufficient food, the white yolk, for the bird to develop. The eggshell is made up of almost pure calcium carbonate with more than 17,000 tiny pores to allow the air and moisture to pass through. Who guides them? Who pushed them to come out of the shell? The divine in the chick as consciousness as order of function. These colorful birds, what you see, each resembles their parent as a perfect example of pattern, precision, and regularity. The duckling also resembles the same color and the pattern what you see as a duck. The peacock is a very well-known example. The color, the feather, all resemble their parent bird. These once again emphasize that the consciousness present in them as pattern, precision as order of function. The baby growth in human being is also an order of function. Women's body is constructed so wonderfully that all men and women are conceived and grown in the womb until ready for the birth without any change or defect in the limbs and senses, unless there is extraordinary cause that may disturb this process. From the conception up to the birth of the child, how many wonderful functions are happening? To realize the intrinsic amazing complexity and faculty of consciousness, we should reflect on the wonderful development of the child in the womb. When an egg and the sperm conjoined, that is conception, the fetus forms as consciousness follows the principle of pattern, precision, and regularity. According to the traditional Siddha medical analysis, the formation of organs happens in order from the first month to the 9th month. By 9th month, the body is fully developed and turns upside down to be ready to leave the womb. In the 10th month, the baby is delivered from the womb. All these developments are symbolically indicated by the Arabic numerals from 1 to 10. One more wonder is that from the date of conception up to the date of delivery, the embryo is well protected by the water bag, which allows the child to develop without being harmed by the movement of mother in her day-to-day activities. The water bag serves as a shock absorber all through the period of development of the embryo to its fullness and only breaks at the time of delivery of the child in the 10th month. Who else can carry out this systematic growth and development? From the minuscule fertilized egg to a complete human being in all its differentiated yet integrated complexity and potential, none other than the consciousness. I like to ask, how many of you like mathematics? I hope we all have done some learning in mathematics during our earlier school days, and some may continue in the college. In college, they might have learned about the famous Fibonacci sequence. Nature speaks to us in many languages. When we involve ourselves, when we stand under to it, we can realize the manifestation in everything and in everywhere as order of function. We all admire the beautiful flowers, the color, the pattern, the precision of the arrangement of petals and seed. You will surprise to see that most of the spiral forms that exhibit in nature follows a definite pattern, which can be explained using Fibonacci sequence. Fibonacci sequence is often called as nature's universal rule, is one of the most famous mathematics sequence. The Italian mathematician Leonardo Fibonacci, in his book Liber Abaci, he introduced a hypothetical problem involving rabbits and employ the sequence to find the number of rabbits after a certain period of time. It is nothing but, the sequence is nothing but each number is a sum of the two numbers of that preceded. For example, it is 0, 1, and 1 plus 0 is 1, and 1 plus 1 is 2, and 2 plus 1 is 3, 3 plus 2, 5, 5 plus 3, 8, 13, 21, 34, it goes indefinitely. It is possible to find the Fibonacci sequence in nature is given by the number of petals of the flowers. Most have 3, for example, like lilies, irises, 5, Paranaceae and rose hips, 8, Cosmea, and 13, some daisies, and 21 in chicory, 34, 55, and 89 in Astraceae. These are the plant botanical names. The sequence begins with the numbers 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34, 55, and so on. Each number is obtained by adding the last 2 digits together. If you are to take the perfect or the golden rectangle, break it down into smaller squares based on Fibonacci sequence. Divide each with arc. The pattern begins to shape with the beginning to see the Fibonacci spirals. Take, for example, the sunflower. The display of its flowers are in perfect spirals of 55, 34, 21, the sequence of Fibonacci. The fruit hips of the pineapple, the spiral based, the pine cone. As the current moves through the ocean and the tide rolls on the shore, the waves that being drive curve into spiral, and that can be mathematically diagrammed on the plot at the points of Fibonacci numbers. 1, 1, 2, 3. The buds on trees, the sand dollars, the starfish, the petals, and especially the nautilus, the shell, are formed with the exact same blueprint, which each segment of growth, the blueprint can seen around us on a small scale every day. But the greatest example of all is the directly above our head, an average of 100,000 light years across. Even the spiral of the galaxies above us are formed with the exact design that tiny shell is formed. Pattern precision is a function. The golden ratio model, the nature's way of packing things in most effective and energy efficient way. In the case of sunflower head and many other species, their arrangement represents the ideal packing of seeds. There is no crowding in the center and no scarcity on the edges of the head. Similarly, by having a certain number of petals at certain angle to each other, the flower ensures that each leaf receives an abundant amount of sunlight. It reflects the conclusion of evolution over millions of years that for a particular species, this is the optimal arrangement of things, which once again proves the consciousness presence as order of function. If you see the nautilus shell, the chamber all follows the same Fibonacci sequence, the space, the volume it occupies. In the divine, the desert, pine, it also follows the same 1, 1, and 3, and 5, 8. It goes in the sequence. Wherever you see the spiral, even in the storm, it also follows the same Fibonacci sequence. The arrangement of the leaves, the sunflower heads, and even in our galaxy. Whatever food we eat, either fruits, vegetables, rice, curry, the food we consume transformed into 7 dhadus or minerals: juice, blood, flesh, fat, bone, bone marrow, and finally the sexual vital fluid. These transformations are taking place systematically in all mammals and many other living beings. No human being can carry out even one of these transformations by his hands or his instruments. Who performs all these wonders in the body? None other than the consciousness within us. The consciousness with its divine does each and every action by the divine law, cause and effect. If you eat the quantity that can be digested by your body, you will have the feeling of pleasure. If the same food taken in overdose, it leads to pain. The consciousness present in the living being reduces the hunger and delays the duration until the food taken is digested. Or sometimes it even throws the food out if it is not suitable for the body, which is also the divine law. The cause and effect is also the order of function. The galaxy. In the whole world, the cosmos, there are innumerable stars and galaxies. Each has certain weight, spinning speed, and its own orbit. Are there any irregularities and delays in their functions? Which mighty power is guiding all these activities other than the consciousness? How is this possible? In every planet, there are many different elements in which there are a number of atoms. The planets is radiating waves that are conditioned by the character that these chemicals of all atoms. The wave act as a repulsive force to keep all the other masses at certain distance. For example, we can take the sun and the earth. They are at the distance of 93 million miles. We all know that. Even the earth is moving around the sun at a speed of 15.5 lakh miles per day. At this terrific speed, they are kept apart at most exactly the same distance. The orbit, the distances between the orbits are not changed, they are same. The number of particles in the sun and the earth and the quantity of the wave coming from them should be added. The sum total of the repulsive forces of the planets conditions the exact distance between them. The same for all other planets. By the consciousness as order of function. We all surprised to see the fish, how it survives under the frozen lake. This also happens as consciousness as order of function. Every movement and actions of nature has an appropriate result. There is no loss or pain caused by the action of nature. All suffering and loss are only by the wrong actions of man, due to the undeveloped knowledge. In the absolute space, there is more awareness with love and moral awareness with love and compassion. Relief for every pain or loss is provided inherently with nature's actions. The lake is totally frozen. It is winter. The surface of the lake is frozen solid. We want to know whether the fish in the lake survive. The thermometer shows 3 degrees. So it is significantly warmer under the ice than it is above. That means the fish must be able to survive down there. This is due to the special property of water, the elasticity. We know that when the temperature sinks below freezing, the water first contracts and expands as it begins to turn to ice. The ice being lighter than water floats. This means the surface of the lake is the first section to freeze. The fish can seek out warmer water by swimming deeper. The deeper you go, the denser the water it becomes. As the density of water rises, so does its temperature. At its deepest point, the water in the lake remains constant at 4 degrees Celsius. A lake more than 1 meter deep will never freeze completely, meaning there is plenty of space for animal and the plant life to survive the winter. This example explains that the consciousness is the remarkable behavior of the ordinary water as it's cooled. When the water is cooled, its density increases. So in winter, as the winter in the lake gets cooler, water in the lake gets cooler, the density goes on increasing. If the density went on increasing, as the temperature falls, the entire lake would freeze and almost all the fish and plants within the water and would freeze to death. However, it is a nature's wonderful order of function that the moment the temperature reaches 4 degrees Celsius, the density decreases. Because it is less dense than the water below, the top layer of the water remains at the surface of the lake and the ice forms only on the surface. Thereby, the fish and the plant life in the lake can survive under the ice. Thereby, they can save from the freezing. Among all the elements, only water has this amazing quality of increasing the density as it cools to a particular level, but suddenly decreasing the density when the temperature falls below that level. In this way, the consciousness protects all the living beings in the water. The divine consciousness produces suitable changes in the living creatures by means of which they adapt themselves to the surroundings and survive. In the psychic function of living beings, the consciousness manifests as 3 vital aspects: cognition, experience, and discrimination. This is the invaluable system working in each and every living being, enabling it survival and development throughout the life. Every living thing contains within it the qualities of cognition, experience, and discrimination, which is over and above the qualities of pattern, precision, and regularity acquired from the non-living things. Let us think about the working system of a living being. There are 8 principles like the physical body, the life force, biomagnetism, genetic center, brain, soul, mind, and senses. Connecting the activities of all these 8 aspects and maintaining the physical and psychic functions, this complex and constant work is carried only by the consciousness. In human life, we can distinguish 10 stages of mental functions: feeling, need, zeal, action, result, enjoyment, experience, research, realization, and conclusion. These 10 are inherent in every action and enjoyment of man, and also apply to some other species. This is the wonderful systematic function of consciousness provided by the nature and essential for our lives. Another wonderful activity of consciousness can be understood by considering the principle of specific gravity. Every object and living thing in the universe is endowed with a magnetic circulation. This circulation generates a vortex. Depending on the weight, the quality, the force, and the chemical nature of the object, the force at its center will be high, and the force diminishes gradually when moving towards the periphery. This principle is called as specific gravity. On Earth, this specific gravity system is seen to be functioning in a wonderful and divine order, keeping the lighter elements at the surface and the heavier elements inside. By this, the lighter metals are found near the surface and the heavier metals such as gold are found in the depth. In our own bodies, the intensified biomagnetic waves is made to settle in the center of the body, which we call it as genetic center, and it is distributed through the body and senses appropriately. We all know that the world today is progressing in scientific research and technology, and in providing numerous faculties that are elevating the living system of mankind. When we examine all these wonderful developments, it can be understood that all are the functions of consciousness working through the human mankind and intellect. There are no inventions. All are discoveries. What exists can only manifest. We are about to conclude. As we started today our session with 2 questions for the discussion: whether it is consciousness and order of function, or consciousness as order of function. Through the example we've seen in the past 40 minutes, I think you all will be with me to realize that consciousness manifested as order of function in everything and everywhere. The absolute space, which is time immemorial, transformed to universe, galaxies, planets, and Panchabhutas and living beings. The universe, which is the home of millions of living creatures, whose origin and growth through a process of transformation and mutation, which exhibit consciousness as order of function. These can be understood with the help of the sixth sense in man. It is essential to realize everything has manifested from the absolute space. Absolute space, the divine state has manifested as body and the mind, as well as the qualities and characters within them. Once this fact is realized, the beastly qualities are vanished and never allowed to raise their ugly heads. The changes undergone during the process of biological evolution from single-cell organism to man are restricted to the physical body alone. The genetic center, whether in the single-celled organism or man, contains the imprints of all acquired experiences, despite changes in the physical appearance. In fact, the development of the sixth sense with its astounding powers elevate man to a level much above of the other living creatures. The sixth sense clears the way for the growth of noble sentiments of love and compassion in human minds, which enables man to live in groups, in harmony, and in peace with others. Life is a period of existence between birth and death, where the individual goes through pleasure or pain, depending on the quality of his deeds. The realization consists of liberation of the soul from the worldly attachment, and when it becomes one with the divine state, which is the purpose of the human life. For the successful, peaceful, and satisfactory life of mankind, realization of the mighty, the qualities and character of the nature is utmost important. To achieve this knowledge, the only sure way is the realization of the all-great potential of absolute space, the primordial state of universe. The sky practices of simplified physical exercise, kayakalpa, introspection, and meditation devised by our revelatory great divine father, Sri Vethathiri Maharishi, is appropriate practices to attain it. The divine consciousness is present in everything and everywhere, and it is the prime duty for all of us to realize this and live accordingly. The consciousness manifests as order of function. The consciousness is nothing but is one of the four innate qualities of imperceptible absolute space. The consciousness is the order of function in everything and everywhere. The quality of divine consciousness is the love and compassion, and it is dynamic. It is important to realize everything is a part of absolute space. Once realized, the noble sentiments of love and compassion blossoms within. The divine consciousness is present within every human being, and it is the prime duty to realize this and live accordingly. The sky practices of simplified physical exercise, kayakalpa and introspection, and meditation devised by our revelatory great master, Sri Vethathiri Maharishi, is the best tool for realization. I thank for giving me this opportunity. It is the consciousness of all of us making me as a tool to present that consciousness manifest as order of function. Thank you. வாழ்க வளமுடன்.
Thank you, Kannan sir, for the excellent speech with supporting slides. Overall, an excellent scientific explanation to the philosophical findings, just like Swamiji, who was perhaps one of the few scientific philosophers or philosophic scientists, as we can call. Because as they say, science without philosophy is lame, and philosophy without science is blind. but you combine the two beautifully well, explaining the concept of absolute space, its innate qualities, its transformation into other functions, wonderful demonstration of the presence of universal magnetism, and consciousness as order of function in plants, explained very well, in also eggs, in human beings, which is perhaps the most wonderful thing, an embryo becoming a human being, is still to be unmatched by science, and which I think will never happen. And how order of function is the most complex job in the world, about how it manipulates itself through the popular Fibonacci sequence. I've read about it, but I never knew the connection. You connected it beautifully well. How the consciousness manifesting as order of function is also responsible for the frozen lakes and the maritime livelihood. That is again a beautiful quality of the mother nature, which is, as Swamiji says, nothing but love and compassion. And relating all these to sky system, finally designed and developed by our Swamiji through the Kaya Kalpa, meditation, yoga, and exercises. Wonderful. I'm delighted to be attending this session and listening to you today. And I am sure all the other 93 people would also be delighted by your presentation. One question has been, I think, Suresh Kungar has raised a hand. Would you like to take the questions after the concluding speech, or would you like to take it now, Mr. Kannan?
After the concluding speech, sir.
Okay, doctor. So, Mr. Suresh Kungar, please hold on. Keep your question ready. You will be the first one I'll be asking to unmute once the concluding speaker finishes. So let's move on. Thank you, Kannan sir, once again. Let's move on to the next speaker. He's an external speaker from Delhi, Sakshi Hemant Sahoo, who is the CEO of Science Divine Foundation, a social and spiritual scientist by nature. Sakshi Hemant's search for knowing the truth of life led him to his Gurudev, Sakshi Sri Ram Kripalji, the founder of Science Divine, Delhi, in knowing and experiencing the intricacies of the inner self. He has been conducting Science Divine workshops, awakening awareness programs, and through his guided meditation sessions and spiritual counseling, he has brought about a positive transformation in the lives of thousands of people. His dream is to witness an environment of love and light being radiated out of each and every individual on this earth. Sakshi Hemant Sahuji, you can please unmute and start your speech. Thank you.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Professor Chandrasekharan. Thank you for not only inviting me to make me aware of this wonderful organization that was started by Vethathiri Maharishi. I'm really impressed by using science in understanding the truth, the absolute truth, which the speaker, Professor Kannan Kathiresan from Bahrain, has so wonderfully explained the functioning through order of function, the entire gamut of the universe, of the existence, and how through a certain pattern, precision, and regularity, everything is happening, not only living, but also the non-living. Through the presentation, if you understand it deeply, people with the scientific bent of mind will feel more happy because they want logic and rationality behind everything they tend to accept. Before I add on to already explained so wonderfully by the speaker, I would like to thank Dr. Rabindranath, Director-R&D, of WCSC, Professor Hemalatha, and others in WSC for giving me this opportunity to share my experience, which I gained with the guidance and blessings of my Gurudev. And I feel the greatest teacher is life itself. So namaskaram to all the divine souls which are present here. I also bow with reverence to the light of super consciousness residing in each one of you. Let the divine bless you all with prosperity, good health, happiness, and peace. World peace can only be achieved when each and every individual is happy, peaceful, and filled with love and compassion, which is his true nature, which is his true essence of his being. Now, we all know who we are. We all are expected to be honest, honest to God, honest to our Creator. But how can we be honest to others, leave alone God, unless we are honest with ourselves? So now it depends to whom we are to be honest. To the one who is controlled by the outside circumstances, who responds as per things happening out, or the one who is always present. We all know, and from the presentation also, that everything is happening with an order of function. The entire universe has evolved and is functioning with a precise pattern. And the energy behind everything happening is the primordial light or the primordial state, or we say the super consciousness, total consciousness, or the creator. Whatever name you want to give, you can give, but it is an invisible energy force that is present in everything and anything. So naturally, if it is present in anything and everything around us, in both animate and inanimate object in the entire creation, so it is also present in us. But we as human beings who have been empowered with the power to think also has this habit of forgetfulness. So Science Divine, which was founded by our Gurudev Sakshi Sahu, had one objective: how we all are born as human beings, but he wants to create another new humanity, a humanity which achieves all the success in the material world while being in a state of everlasting happiness and peace from within. So there has to be a balance between the material world and the inner world, which we can say the spiritual world. It sounds very good, but people of the 21st century is so much preoccupied with other activities, so he tends to forget, he tends to ignore the basic truth of knowing himself. But people present here, because they have been attending so many workshops every Saturday, must have experienced by now, and with this wonderful presentation given today, by an enlightened speaker will make you understand very clearly that what Maharishi Ramanna wanted us to know, that who am I? Unless I know who am I cannot be honest to myself. When I cannot be honest to myself, I cannot be honest with others, and I cannot be honest to my creator. So who am I? He said, who hears when I hear? Who sees when I see? Who feels the thoughts when there are thoughts in the mind? Who experiences these emotions? This was the only question Maharishi Ramana has to ask. Now, in nutshell, we can all understand because you all have been practicing meditation, you all have been having a thirst for understanding truth. So, in nutshell, you know that I am not the body, I am not the thoughts. Thoughts come and go. So there is a relationship of subject and object. You are the subject who experiences the physical space, the mental space, and the emotional space. At times, you see the outside, and at times, you see the inside. But you are not the one outside or inside, but you are the one who experiences. You are not the objects, but you see the objects. Because similarly, the thoughts are also objects, invisible objects. So you have a subject-object relationship with material things and with thoughts, with emotions, and also to the disturbance happening inside you. So there must be someone who experiences this. The question is, who is that? So it says me, the same person who sees this body in front of the mirror is the one who sees dreams also while sleeping. He is the one at times sees thoughts, but while in meditation, he sees that there are no thoughts. At times he is engrossed with the emotion of love, looking at a small puppy, but on hearing some sound behind, sitting in a park, creates an emotion of fear. So instantly he was experiencing the emotion of love, and then he sees the emotion of fear engulfing. But he is not fear. It was an emotion of fear, which affects his physiological pattern also. His breathing becomes short. So there is a relationship between everything. It starts from the thought, thoughts create emotions, and the emotions creates a feeling of being fearful, a feeling of being loving, a feeling of being happy, or anxiety can also grip you. No need to say that me is one who experiences everything is the consciousness, and this consciousness is the fraction of the collective consciousness or the universal consciousness. So the energy which is embedded, the life force which is embedded in a body becomes the individual consciousness, and this individual consciousness pervades on the human body and on the visible and invisible objects. So when we know that we are consciousness, and it is the consciousness which controls everything in the universe. After knowing this, then why are we fearful? Why there is stress? Why there is unhappiness? And why there is havoc all around us? This is a very moot question. We should all understand. We can only have world peace when we are able to understand. Despite knowing that we are consciousness, yet we are always stressful, anxious. For example, at this current time of corona pandemic, if we know we are consciousness, then why is there fear? Why there is panic? There should be no fear, there should be no panic because we know we are consciousness. So this thing has to be understood in a very simple manner in order to seek freedom from all kind of negativity, to seek freedom from all kind of stress, emotional trauma, is to know the root reason. And the root is that the consciousness and ability to focus, the ability to be aware. This awareness can be on one object or multiple objects. As a child is born, till a certain time, he is in that state of pure consciousness. But as the mind develops, where it starts collecting the impressions from the outside, then somehow, in an unconscious manner, out of forgetfulness, out of ignorance, he gets separated from his true nature, from his true being. And he starts identifying with the objects which you are supposed to be aware of. Starts becoming aware of those objects which you are supposed to witness. For example, you are sitting in a drawing room watching your TV. In the TV, you are engrossed in the program happening on the TV. So you are focused on the TV. And once you are focused on what's happening in the TV set, you defocus from other things which is also there in the room. But once someone comes and taps you, so your consciousness comes out of the TV and you see there are other things also. So wherever your focus goes, your consciousness follows. Your consciousness is neutral. Consciousness is there. Now suppose you are in a cinema hall. You are in such a kind of auditorium that you're not only your seeing and hearing is captured, but also other sense organs like smell, touch is also captured by the cinema happening. And you start identifying with the character. But still, your sense organs may be involved in the movie, your thoughts are independent, you still can think that there is something I have to do at home. That means you can defocus from what is happening on the cinema hall, and then you can focus in your inner world of thoughts. But think of a movie hall where even your thoughts are captured. It gets synchronized with your sense organ, and you start thinking the way the movie character is thinking. It may sound so scary, but unfortunately, this is also happening with all of us. We have engrossed so much in the objects that our consciousness has become object consciousness, whereas it should have been soul consciousness. More you are into object consciousness, you have detached yourself from your true essence, from your true nature, which is peace, happiness, love, and compassion, and you get engrossed in all the outside objects, in whatever role you are supposed to play. Instead of playing that role, you get attached with the role. And that is the root cause of all the stress happening. So consciousness has the ability to focus on anything. So if through introspection and meditation, you are able to reconnect the focus of consciousness on your true self, that is the soul. So if you are able to develop the habit of being centered in the seat of your consciousness and yet doing things in the outside as an engineer, as a doctor, as a minister, or whatever you're doing, then you know that I am not the doer, I am a witness, I am a Sakshi. You are centered in the soul seat of your consciousness. Then what you hear, then you are aware that you are aware of that sound. You are aware that you are aware of that sight. You are aware that you are aware of the thoughts. You know, there are different state of consciousness. One is wakefulness, where the brain waves goes about 12, 13 hertz per second. You are in a beta state, which your conscious mind is active. Then there is a state where you are in a sleeping but a dream state. Then you go into deep sleep, sushupti. Then a state comes when you are in a turiya state. Turiya state is when you are in a state of pure consciousness. So how you are able to attain that state of pure consciousness? When you are devoid of any kind of thought. And when you are seated in the seat of a consciousness, which we say the witness consciousness, that you are there experiencing and witnessing things happening at the physical, emotional, and mental levels. You know, at the bhutaka, chitakas, they say, the physical and the emotional and mental. Then you know what is happening. Then the world will not bother you. Then what is happening outside, for example, this corona pandemic, can also not create any panic in you because you know you are witnessing. We have been witnessing since our birth. We have witnessed our body when it was a baby. Then we witness a body becoming a child. Then we have witnessed a body becoming a youth. And we are witnessing a body as we see today. Similarly, we witness our mind having a collection of impressions when we are in school, then in college, and then as a professional. And then but we know that these are not me. This have come from the outside. But what is permanent, what is truth is the consciousness. Because already there, even before you took the form of this body, you are there. You are now. And once you leave this body also will be there. So this individual consciousness can feel the totality, the universal consciousness, which is infinite, by being in a state where you are always centered in the seat of your consciousness, being with the soul, where there is no interplay of the mind. Then you and the universal consciousness becomes one, which we say, Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahm. With practice, this is possible. With meditation, this is possible. Like Vethathiri Maharishi talked about introspection and meditation, yes, it is possible. But it should be, here also there is an order of function, that there has to be a pattern, precision, and regularity. And going back to your true self, the truth. If you want to feel and be in the state where you can be in a state of everlasting happiness, being in a state of everlasting happiness is only enlightenment. When you are in that state of everlasting happiness, then you are in a state of meditation. You don't have to close your eyes, but still you are in a state of meditation. And a person who is in a state of meditation is always engulfed with the energy of love and compassion. Because a person who's meditative, the reflection is love. A person who's in a state of unconditional love, the reflection is meditation. So meditation and love are two sides of the same coin. You can feel the fragrance of love when you achieve the state of meditation, or you can achieve the state of meditation when you experience the fragrance of unconditional love. That is why they say God is love, love is God. The super consciousness also is neutral. There are laws which are equal for everyone, like law of gravity, law of compassion, law of manifestation, law of attraction. Close your eyes for 2 minutes, be in a state of total relaxation, doing nothing, just leave your body loose, calm, and cool. Everything is happening on its own. The breathing is taking place. The blood is flowing in your body on its own. Innumerable functions is happening as per the order of function. You just witness whatsoever is happening without applying any thought, any meaning, because it is happening. All the important functions of your life happens on its own. The breathing, your birth, the whole life process is happening as per the divine blessings of the creator of the super consciousness. Allow yourself to feel that energy of the consciousness flowing inside you. It is the consciousness within you which is experiencing the state of peace, calmness, and joy within. And Sakshi says that in order to feel pure consciousness, the only way is to develop the habit of witness consciousness, that you are a Sakshi, you are a watcher. So you can start by watching your body. At times, you just feel you're outside your body and you're witnessing your body sitting in a posture of calmness. Then you can also witness your thoughts. There may be thoughts, or there may not be any thoughts. But not to fight or try to push away thought. Just witness. As soon as a thought comes, it will go also, because you are not the thought. So start witnessing the emotions also. Slowly, slowly, by witnessing your body, thoughts, and emotions, you will start going inward and start witnessing the consciousness itself. You start experiencing the consciousness. Like Jiddu Krishnamurti says, the observer becomes the observed. देखने वाला ही दिखने वाला होगा. Then you are in a state of pure consciousness. When you are engrossed in your own self, the consciousness is light of all lights. If there is consciousness, then you can see outside if there is anything or nothing. But if there is no consciousness in the you, then whatever is happening does not make any difference because you are not there. So always try to relate the truth that is a consciousness and understand and develop the wisdom of using the instruments, the objects. We are not the object. We are supposed to be aware of the object, but not to immerse or attach with the objects. So once this is clear, then we can understand what Vethathiri Maharishi also talked about, consciousness and the journey of consciousness. You can relate, understand and experience your true being of consciousness by going inward. Out of ignorance, out of ego, out of illusion, we forget our true self. And that is why Buddha said that life is a suffering. Life is suffering for those who consciousness are engrossed in the objects outside. But it's a celebration for those who are centered in the seat of consciousness. So one end of the arrow should be always pointed towards you, towards the soul, that you are the soul, you are the consciousness which experiences everything out. And while doing all your work, you see your body is working, you see your ears are hearing, you see your eyes are seeing. But you, in a state of not doership, you'll be doing all the work as per the universe wants you to do. When you drop your ego, then the universe enters you and you become the instrument to deliver what the universe wants us to do, making the Mother Earth a more beautiful place, more comfortable and more peaceful for all around us. May the Divine bless you all to understand and experience the intrinsic nature of yourself and to understand the frequency of the consciousness. We need to elevate our level of consciousness from Muladhara to Sahasrara, which meditation helps you in reaching that state of a higher vibration state. At a higher vibration state, you can be in tune with the frequency of the universe. And I will end my talk by saying, by being in oneness with the universe is freedom, and being separated is bondage. And to be in oneness with the universe is by developing the practice of witness consciousness, by being in the moment, by being in the present. Thank you.
Thank you, Sakshi Hemantji, for your wonderful and thought-provoking speech, giving us your perspective on consciousness with stress on who am I, with nice practical examples on how we should have constant awareness and follow a detached attachment to be free from the worldly fears and pressures, especially in today's context. About how with meditation and introspection, we can achieve everlasting happiness, oozing out pure love and compassion like God Himself, explaining the order of function in our own body and mind, which we can feel through or perceive through the meditation. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you for accepting our invitation and delivering your concluding speech.
Thank you so much, Professor Chandrasekhar. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Hemantji, that was Dr. M.V. Rabindranath. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rabindranath. My pleasure.
Thank you.
I
Thank
feel
you.
blessed being with you all, with all the divine souls here.
We don't feel the difference. We are
Yes,
within
you
you.
and
You are with
you
us.
and I are one. Yes.
Yes, yes, sir. Thank you.
I would like to say what Valmiki wrote in Ramcharitammanas. Rama asks Hanuman, "Who are you, a man or monkey?" Hanuman bowed in reverence with folded hands, and he said, "Till I do not know who I am, I serve you. The day I know who I am, I and you are one." Valmiki has mentioned in Ramcharitammanas. आप और मैं एक ही हैं.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Now, for the attention of all the participants, please fill up the feedback form. Also, visit Facebook and YouTube channel, Vethathiri Maharishi Kundalini Yoga page. And I will also post the feedback form right now. It's also been sent, I think, through the WhatsApp groups. I posted it also now. So you can use that and fill it up. And then Senior Professor Balachandran has raised his hand. So I want him to unmute and speak. Senior Professor Balachandran.